there's the loss, which, you compartmentalize and you put that over here. But then there's also the injuries. The Lions, it feels like, are now going to be without Taylor Decker. Campbell addressed it today, and he didn't close the door, but he didn't sound particularly enthusiastic.
No, he didn't, saying it's a day-to-day thing with him, and he's getting better every day, which sounds an awful lot like it did a couple years ago, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When he had the finger injury. Like, is he really out? Is he still out? He's still out. He's still out. And then, that begot a lot of phone calls about Taylor Decker, but
so
he's got to come back.
There's no word on Vaitai. I haven't seen or heard anything. If anybody has seen it, feel free, but I have not. We try and cover everything, but I've been looking for it. There's no update on Vaitai. David Montgomery.
Day-to-day.
Yep. But they just signed Zonovan Knight to the roster from the practice squad, so that tells you something. On defense, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson injury, concerning. James Houston out now. Those guys might be back before the end of the year. It sounds like the window is open for that possibility.
Well, one's reportedly a broken leg.
Thought it was an ankle, but whatever.
Yeah, one of the bones down there. So, was it? Did I see tibula or something? I said, but maybe it is ankle. Either way, he's out like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
At least. This is a problem. And Gardner Johnson, if it's the report last night was a torn pec and it could be a season ender. That's devastating. For a guy that was coming to this team, we were so excited about because he's a ball hawk out there in the secondary. He wants to be a leader on defense. He's a very vocal guy, and for him to miss some time it's going to hurt.
So, I will tell you that the C.J. Gardner-Johnson injury sucks, but I would also argue that is the position with the best player to assume that role in Tracy Walker. Now, Tracy Walker wasn't starting for a reason, right? But he's been pretty damn good at times for this Lions team in the last couple of years. I will contend I'm still more worried about the offensive line. And at this point, I mean, there's a chance, I suppose, that Vaitai and Decker can go this weekend. It's only Tuesday. But I will feel a lot better and feel like they can survive the C.J. Gardner-Johnson injury because they've got Tracy Walker. Now, they can't afford too many more injuries back there, but who's a more adept backup at any position than Tracy Walker?
Well, and I would assume that's what the move would be, but could they also put Brian Branch at that position and Will Harris goes into Brian Branch's slot corner? Is that a possibility?
They could.
They've got a number of ways they can go.
That's basically deciding to play Will Harris over Tracy Walker, and I can't imagine them making that decision, but they could. They could. And Emmanuel Moseley, Campbell wasn't particularly optimistic about that this morning.
No, he wasn't. And I got the feeling when I was hearing that's a move that is very disappointing for this team, that the hamstring injury happened. And when hindsight comes in, is that one that you're going to say should have been put on, PUP list or short-term IR or something earlier on? Because if he misses like 4 games, then it's kind of a waste because you could have done that. But I really hope they get him back soon because he's, he was signed to be a difference maker, to be that big upgrade at cornerback, and they need to get better coverage after what we saw on Sunday.
I mean, he was made available because injury history.
Yeah.
He had it with the Niners, and he obviously, was getting over it when he got here, and now another injury popped up that they, obviously didn't foresee coming, and that's why you're right. If it is longer than 4 weeks, they had no idea of knowing that, though. The C.J. Gardner-Johnson possibly being out for the year, that I told you yesterday, I was maybe on the ledge. I'm on the ledge now and it's not just that injury, but that kind of put it over the top. I mean, Sunday's loss was one thing. It's the loss of bodies at this point. I mean, attrition is part of the NFL, but my God, I feel like I can't remember a week where they lost this many players and this many starters, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Decker was already out, but
Dan Campbell said this morning, he's like, we're gonna be thin And then he pointed out we were kind of like that last year to start the season too. And I was thinking, yeah, and went 1-6 for the start. Let's not have a repeat.
Yeah, I mean it ain't great, but this is the NFL, man. I've said for like the last half a decade, attrition's such a big part of this game, and you've got to have as much depth as possible. We believed in the depth prior to the year. So the question becomes, do you still believe in the depth? But I will contend I'm still more worried about the offensive line injuries than any other position. And that's just me. They didn't generate a ton of pass rush, and one of the guys that they were counting on doing that is James Houston, and he's out 6 to 8 weeks. And last year they had massive problems in the secondary, and one of the guys they brought in to help solidify that group, led the NFL in interceptions last year, is now out for who knows how long. By the way, do we stop and talk about the fact that he played most of that game with a potential season-ending injury?
I mean, that was something that I thought, if he's hurt, how is he playing 60-something snaps in this game?
Yep.
That's why I thought it was a stinger of some sort when he came back, Torn pec. I mean, Spielman, I believe, played like an entire year with the torn pec. But that guy was
1995, I think was year.
He's an incredible badass, but in that position to be tackling basically with one arm.
So,
not that C.J. Gardner-Johnson isn't, but this is something you don't mess around with. It's hard to play with one arm, essentially.
Yeah,
but can be done. Apparently,
well, he's on a 1-year deal. I don't know if he wants to risk. He's got to get a contract next year.
Look,
right?
each injury is different in severity, and each player is different with how they can react to it. I mean, I don't know. It's nice to know that Chris Spielman's in the building. He can talk to him about it.
Yeah, what is he going to say?
I don't know.
Heal up.
If you want to be a badass.
Hey, man, you want to talk about it? No? All right.
Okay.